What's going on, folks? Ike here, and it's time for another fragrance review. I'm going to do a really quick synopsis for that guy who's standing with his phone at the store deciding whether he wants to blind buy this or not. Maybe this will be my new format. So really quickly, what does it smell like? It smells like big red chewing gum, some woods, and leather. And its performance is very good. Good longevity, good sillage. All right, so if you like that description, buy it. Now let me kind of get into the more in-depth review. This is a big 8-ounce bottle that I bought. The thing is freaking huge. Let's check out the presentation. It's basically a cardboard box with a bottle in it, a really big bottle. Look at the size of this thing. It's like the size of my head, and I got a big head. So yeah, what do I think of Halston Z-14? This came out in the mid to late 70s. From the marketing of it, the name Z-14, I mean, there was kind of a fascination with the letter Z in the 70s and 80s, especially in the automotive sections. You know, back in the late 60s, Nissan came out with their 240Z. And then their subsequent 260Z, 280Z, 300Z, sports cars, performance cars. Chevy came out with their souped up version of the Camaro called the Z28. That was in the late 60s. The IROC Z. Dodge came out with the Dodge Daytona Z. Corvette came out with the Z06, the ZR1, which is legendary. The first ZR1 was a twin turbo. 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds. The modern ZR1 is like 0 to 60 in 2.85 seconds. There was a fascination with the letter Z in the 80s, and it connotated the performance version of a car. And I think they kind of used that same kind of marketing for this cologne. You know, like you had like a regular Cavalier, and then you had the Cavalier Z24. You had the regular Camaro, and then you had the Camaro Z28. And then you had the Camaro Z28 IROC Z. So by that marketing, this should represent a performance cologne, the performance version of Halston's lineup. All right, the opening, it's pretty harsh. And that's kind of the case with a lot of these old school scents. The opening is harsh, but the harshness, it goes away within 30 seconds, and that's when the scent comes through. So what we have here is a fresh, spicy, all kinds of spices, but the most prominent being cinnamon, which gives it a very strong, big red cinnamon chewing gum vibe. That's what I get from this. It's like, that's what you get on the top. You know, there's also a whole ton of notes in this. Like there's like florals and there's like, you know, citruses that are kind of supporting notes. But the main top note is a fresh, spicy, big red chewing gum / atomic fireball. I don't know if you guys ever tried one of those atomic fireball candies. It's like it's a hard candy. It's round, and you suck on it for a while, and it's really spicy. It's almost like it burns your mouth. So it's like a spicy candy. So this smells like an atomic fireball / big red chewing gum. And it gives it a really strong freshness to it. And also, you get some leather, gives it a nice masculine edge, and woody notes. The main woody note being a cypress, which is kind of like a fresh woody. And also, I get some vanilla. The vanilla is actually not in the note list, and it's most likely the benzoin that's giving it that vanilla vibe, mixed with some tonka, like a tonka benzoin gives it this vanilla vibe to it. So it's not like a heavy, weighed down vanilla. It's kind of like it's lighter than the typical heavy vanilla scents. But it is strong. It's very masculine, and I actually like it very much. You know, I bought this big 8-ounce bottle of it. This is pretty much a lifetime supply for me. I'm never going to get through this bottle. This 8-ounce spray bottle. If I could like describe this in layman's terms, it reminds me of like, it gives me the vibe of like a greaser. Like a greaser is an archetype of a person. It's actually a derogatory term It's from the 50s. A young man that's pretty much like a mechanically inclined into cars, motorcycles, who wears jeans, white t-shirt, and a leather jacket most of the time. And it's kind of an archetype, and it's kind of a derogatory term, so I don't know if it's politically correct. I don't know. I don't think there's any more greasers in the world anymore. They originated in the 50s. If you want to, it's way before my time. A typical greaser would be like James Dean in his, rebel without a cause kind of movies, where he's like a reckless rebel, dressed in a leather jacket, jeans, t-shirt, smoking a cigarette. So a rebellious teen, into hot rods and motorcycles. That's what a greaser is. They disappeared for a while, and back in the 80s, they kind of made a comeback, and that's when this cologne came in. Back when Happy Days started coming on the air. Happy Days, a TV show, and the one character in the TV show, the Fonz, very, very popular. I think one of the most popular, iconic characters from TV. He was a greaser, worked on cars. He rode a motorcycle, loved his leather jacket. So he's kind of like the typical greaser. And the whole greaser look came back in the 80s for a while because everybody was into leather jackets. You had Top Gun wearing bomber jackets with a white t-shirt and jeans. John Travolta from Grease and his whole crew from Grease. They were called greasers, hence the name Grease. The name of the movie was Grease. If you ever watched an old movie, one of Sylvester Stallone's earliest movies, with Henry Winkler, who also played the Fonz later on, there was a movie called The Lords of Flatbush. Lords of Flatbush were stereotypical greasers. And when I smell this, I kind of get the image of a greaser in my head. It has to do with the leather and the big red chewing gum and the woods. It kind of all comes together, and it puts that in my head like a vibe of a greaser. So I'd say this is a casual, rebellious youth, tough guy scent. I actually like it a lot. There's a lot of character to it. There's not a lot of scents that smell like this. There's definitely nothing in my collection that smells like this. And that cypress is really a nice touch. It's a fresh, woody scent. What else can I say? Greasers, they used to wear these hairdos. They're called the DA, aka the duck's ass, where, they'd put a lot of styling product in their hair. Back in the 50s, it was called pomade. In the 80s, it was called styling gel because the word pomade wasn't used anymore. And now in modern times, pomade has kind of made a comeback as a hair styling product. So it's basically the pomade was kind of like grease in their hair. So that's why they called them greasers. They like working on cars. Hands were always greasy. I paid $19.99 for this, but this is 8 ounces. This is a lifetime supply. You can probably get the 4.2 or whatever size bottle for half that price, maybe $10. I don't ever recommend people buying colognes based on my opinion. It's definitely worth giving a sniff. Give this one a sniff, try it out. Try before you buy. I don't know. What else would you do? It's a freaking $10, $20 cologne. It's not worth getting a sample decant. That costs you $10 through the mail. So, if you think you might like it, just go for it. I'm not trying to sell cologne here. I'm not trying to sell fragrance. This is like a very, it's a casual scent. It's a daily scent. It could definitely be a signature scent. If you rock this, there's not too many people out there rocking it. You definitely could be a unique signature scent, and the smell is definitely worthy of it. The performance is definitely worthy of it. It's a great performer. I'd say it lasts about 6-7 hours. I would say this was probably like the spice bomb of the 80s, even though it came out in the late 70s. I would say this is like the spice bomb of the 80s. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. Wait a second. I forgot to get the thumbnail. There goes the thumbnail right there. Yeah. All right. And I will smell you later.